What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. Today's episode is the blind draw mentality episode. You guys are going to get a first-hand look into how we approach going to a blind draw. Everything from before you get there, when you draw your partner, and how you play. Welcome to the show. Okay, welcome to episode 2 of The Flop. Dad, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great. I'm back here in North Carolina after a great Christmas vacation. I'm happy to be back in the epicenter of the cornhole universe here, where tens don't win, and it's going to be good going back to some blind draws and stuff.
I'm sure it will be, man. Get back into that routine. Neither one of us have been able to practice much over the holidays, so it'll be nice to get back to some normalcy.
Absolutely, and it's cool. We got the new setup. We'll be doing this podcast remotely. As you can see here, I've got my bag that I take to blind draws, and I've got some other bags that I just think are cool up here. If you guys want to have your patch featured on the show, just email us at theflopcornhole@gmail.com. We'll rep your patch on the show, and then if you want to send us some bags, we'll do the same. We'll do a little mini review, and we'll get some cool names out on the show.
Sounds good, man.
Heck yeah. So today's topic is blind draw mentality. Something that we love to think about is the mental side of going to a blind draw. It can be a huge event with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things that are outside of your control. So we're just going to get right into it. So Dad, how do you think about a blind draw as you're going into it before you even get there?
Well, first of all, I just want to add to the front end of that starting as a beginner player, blind draw is your next step from backyard. So you're a backyard player and you decide that you want to start playing, more, you want to get better. A blind draw is a natural next progression. So it can be a little daunting going from the backyard into an environment where you've got some people who can just flat out throw, and you're probably not at that level yet. So it can be a little scary. So I do think that this will be a good episode for some of the beginner players who maybe are either new in blind draws or playing, who are just wanting to get better and get involved in blind draws. So I think that for me, I know that when I was a beginner player and I was practicing in the front yard on my press board boards, it was a daunting thought. Okay, I'm going to go find a place where people are I don't know anyone, and I'm going to go into this environment, and I'm going to try to put myself out there, and try to improve and get better. So, that was a daunting task for me in the beginning. Did you have any similar experiences like that when you decided to start going to blind draws?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the physiological stressors start to ramp up when you go. Like you feel your heart rate going up. I mean, even to this day, when I'm driving to the blind draw, I'm so excited and I'm so ready. And my heart rate is just going crazy in the car. It's gonna be awesome, but there is a lot of pressure behind it. So in this episode, we want to talk about how we handle that pressure and what works best for different personality types and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that we want to talk about the mindset before you get to the blind draw. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you do is, if you are intending on going and actually doing well, you obviously practice is a part of that. So you want to make sure you get some practice in before you go. If you can get some practice in the day of, it's all the better, obviously, because you want to carry that muscle memory into the blind draw. So you've got your best chance, I feel like, going forward, and succeeding. And succeeding looks different to everyone. Succeeding can just be throwing your best and putting up a really good show, or putting on a really good show for yourself, like performing to the level that you want to perform to. You may not win. You may go 0-2, but how did you do? Did you play well? That's really what it's about. So, before you get to the blind draw, you want to make sure you've had some reps. You want to make sure you've had some practice. Even if it's just over the course of the week, you've practiced 2 or 3 times, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour here and there, it doesn't matter. You want to make sure that you have physically prepared to go in and do well at the blind draw. And then number two, you want to make sure that you have your mind's in the right place. You set your expectation levels for going into the blind draw. Has your practice been going well? Have you been throwing lights out? You want to make sure you keep that in your head, that I know what I've done in practice and I know what I can do when I get there. And keep that mentality of I'm going to go and I am going to play well.
That's right. That's right. Focus, determination, preparation is everything. We're all about practicing. We think it benefits us a lot. Personally, I think practice eliminates doubt. If you've put in the work and you've put in the hours, you've put in the preparation, when you go to the blind draw, you're going to be a little bit more nervous because you're competing and you want to win. But you have that muscle memory. You know that you can execute the things that you need to execute. So preparation is everything. And then just mentally, if you're a person that needs to get ramped up, like I'm going to kill everybody in this blind draw. I'm going to do, whatever I have to do to come out on top. That Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mentality. Or if you're kind of like a Zen, Buddhist monk on the top of a Himalayan mountain, you're just focused and you're letting go of everything, and I'm going to throw the best I can, and just relieving and letting that pressure go is going to help you be the best you can be. Then do that. But there are multiple ways to skin a cat on mindset when it comes to cornhole.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you've told me that I love, absolutely love, the quote is that you fail to the level of your preparation. And so
That's right.
if you go in prepared, then you're only going to do as poorly as you've baselined your preparation. So if you are doing really well in practice and you're doing really well on your own, your body's going to kind of default to that if you get in a situation where you're nervous or where you feel like you can't do it. Like your body, your muscle memory is going to kind of take over and help out.
That's exactly right. Every day you are creating a new baseline for yourself. You have a baseline skill that if everything goes wrong, you're going to drop down to that. You fall to the level of your preparation. Don't ever expect yourself to exceed your level of preparation because it's just not going to happen. Not when the nerves are going, not when it's on the line, not when you have to hit that, last bag airmail to win the game. You need to have done that over and over and over again with no pressure. That way when pressure is there, it's automatic.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I mean, obviously there's a lot to be said for throwing at home by yourself versus standing across the boards from somebody who's applying that pressure to you. But that's why the preparation is so important, because when you are standing next to somebody at the boards and you are in your nerves and in your feelings, you want to make sure that that you can still perform at a level that you feel like is appropriate for your skill level. We've all been there. I've been across and just locked up and frozen, because I remember my first major I went to, my first game, I couldn't throw. I was shaking. I was just convulsively shaking, and I threw absolutely horrible. And of course, it was an ACO major, and the way they set those pools up is top seed versus bottom seed. So I was already playing a pro level player, and I just got absolutely destroyed, and it was an embarrassing performance. I ended up winning my next game because I'd shook the nerves a little bit, but that first game I just was locked up. And so there are moments when you're standing across the board from somebody that all the preparation in the world is going to fall apart and not work for you. But you just have to continue to push through. So it's all about taking that next step in faith and being afraid and still going forward. That's going to get you the end results that you want.
Absolutely. It's really important to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Something I've actually recently done when I go to the blind draw is I take my headphones out. For a while, I saw a lot of people playing with headphones, and I was like, oh, what a great way to eliminate distraction and kind of keep you focused and keep you in the zone. But for me, nerves are something that affect me. I can get into my own head. So I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I running from this? Like, I take my headphones out. I listen to people talk around me. I let the moment I just be in the moment. I let that moment be what it is, and I accept that the moment is big and that it matters. And then I try to deal with that, and I'm slowly building a tolerance to where it's not mattering as much anymore, and I'm able to kind of stay true to my preparation. But that's kind of what we're always trying to do. It's just close that gap between our expectations and our preparation, and just get that line level. And then that's when we're really going to be able to start executing and start playing well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right about that.
Okay, so next thing we want to talk about is, okay, now you're at the blind draw. It's time to draw a partner. So, and another thing I just want to say that's just hilarious to me about drawing partners is I love people's superstition with like picking chips and stuff. Like people will like stay in the back of the line because they think they'll get a better partner or like draw a better chip because they were further back in the line. It's like the mathematical odds are insane for you having anything to do with like what chip you draw. So I just think like drawing chips and stuff, and it is all really funny.
I do too. You're absolutely right. There are people who won't stand next to someone that they potentially want to be partners with because they're afraid that just because they're beside each other in line, they don't have a good odds of drawing the same number. When, like you said, just mathematically speaking, there are a certain number of people in line, and there's a corresponding number of chips in the bag. The odds are 1-to-1. You don't have any better chance being in front of the line, back of the line, middle of the line, next to the person you want to play with, far as part from the person you can play with as possible. It doesn't matter, but it is funny.
No,
people have their superstitions.
It's completely outside of your control.
Yeah.
I would just focus on preparing and being the best cornhole player that you can be, and just draw a chip. I mean, one of my favorite examples of this, I went to a blind draw. I was the first person to draw a chip because I just don't care. People scatter when they start shaking the Crown Royal bag. But so I just walked up and grabbed a chip, and I ended up drawing Cheyenne Renner that night. So it was, I was like, okay, it's official. Like, I don't need to sit around and wait toward the back of the line anymore. Like, it was a great night. But
that's
so
a pretty
your mindset when you
decent
draw
draw.
your partner. Oh yeah, it was a great draw. I don't think I could have done any better than that.
Nope.
No. But okay, so you pick your chip, you draw your partner. Now, here's where you need to start adjusting your expectations. When you find out, is my partner pro level? Is my partner brand new to the draw? Or is my partner, someone that's kind of, an average player that, can throw really, really well, is sometimes a little bit inconsistent? Dad, what do you think about how you think about what kind of partner you have and how to approach that, relationship?
Well, I think this is this particular facet of the blind draw, I feel like sometimes is the most difficult one for people to adjust their mindset about. I know that I struggled with it in the beginning when I'm still just a middle of the road player, but if I got somebody who I knew I wasn't going to be able to make a run with, I would get really upset at myself. I've never let it show or anything like that. I was never cruel or mean. I'm just not that kind of person. But, I'd be disappointed in my mind. And that already set a bad expectation for the evening, which would ultimately affect my throwing. So something that I had to work on, and it's like I said, I've been guilty of not being happy with my draw. And I'm not going to pretend that I haven't been. I think everyone has been at that point where you draw the chip, they say who the other person is, and you go, it's going to be a short night for me. And again, I think everyone's done that, and I'm not going to pretend that I haven't. But I have since then become successful in adjusting my mentality when I draw a beginner level player or a person who's just not as good as I am. And again, I'm middle. I'm not trying to say I'm God's gift, and so I want the best player. But I know who I can make a run with, and I know who I can't make a run with. And so when I draw someone that I know I'm probably not going to make a run, I have adjusted my mindset to say, okay, this night tonight is going to be about having fun. This night tonight is going to be about making myself a better player. And so I adjust my mindset from the expectation of potentially winning the blind draw to we're going to get some wins, and I'm going to play as well as I possibly can. Number one, I'm going to grow from this experience. I'm going to be a better player after tonight. Number two, I hope I can help get some wins for my partner, because I know that they want to win. I know that they want to get better, and I know that they are in this experience hoping to have a positive experience. And I want to be a person who, when you partner with me, you know we're going to have a good time. We're going to have fun whether or not we win or not. And I am going to try, and I hope my local people will call me out on this if this is not true. But I hope that my local people know that when they get me, I'm going to be a good partner. I'm going to be a good teammate and a partner to you, regardless of your skill level, and I'm going to play my absolute best no matter who you are. I feel like that's important.
Absolutely. I think there are two things that come to mind for me when I draw someone that, you know, is just beginning or whatever, which was actually pretty recent for me. So, you know, I'm not really past that stage either. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, we may not win, but I'm going to ruffle some feathers tonight. Like I'm going to try my absolute best to throw the best I can and make some people uncomfortable, because I know people are going to come to this game thinking that they got this, but I'm going to make sure they don't got this. Like, I'm going to make sure that it's at least tough and they know we're here. And then the second thing is people underestimate the momentum and energy aspect of playing the game. If I can actually be a good partner and be an encouraging force for my partner who's just beginning in the game, they're going to play better. So our chances increase. The more positive I am and the more encouraging I am with them, that's going to give them that positive momentum to propel us into maybe winning some games that we wouldn't win. And I've experienced this firsthand many times. So that's huge.
Me too. I absolutely have, and you're absolutely right. Encouragement is so key in that situation. I tend, if I partner even with an advanced level player, I am the good bag guy. I am the good bag. Man, that was a good bag. Great shot. You know, yeah. Stay hot. And I try to keep that. I try to keep that sort of encouragement going for any partner that I have, because I know if my partner is beginner level or and they throw a front board, they are hating themselves, because I know I do. When I throw a front board, I'm like, and you just want to collapse. So it's very important, especially in that situation. They hit a front board or they hit off the side or whatever, and you can see them. You can see them get visibly frustrated. It is so important to go, hey, don't worry about that. No, you got 3 more bags, or you got another bag, or whatever it is. Let them know that is okay. It is not the end of the world, because it's not. I mean, ultimately, we are playing beanbag toss, and you are throwing a sack of resin, and so in the grand scheme of things, it is not a big deal. And it took time to wrap my head around that aspect of it. And so I really hope that I am succeeding as well as I think I am in my head. And again, I want anybody to call me out on that if they feel like I'm not. But it's so important to be encouraging. I know it helps me. If I'm doing poorly and my partner's down there and they're clapping for me and they're saying, hey man, no worry, shake that off. Don't worry about that. And then, or especially if I do something well, if I hit a good push or I hit a good airmail, for them to get hyped, for them to get yeah, let's go. That is so encouraging. And it just makes your level of play go up. And I feel like it may not even be the level of play. It just that the nerves go away. So the nerves start to go away. And so your level just automatically goes back up to the level of your preparation. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So And that's the last thing. This is the last thing we'll kind of say about when you draw a beginner player who's maybe not as great right now is you don't ever want to deter someone from coming back, because if you treat someone poorly and they don't come back to the blind draw, you're robbing them of an amazing community, and then you're also taking away their opportunity to be great in the future. Like, how many players have you seen show up? They play, they lose, they lose, and then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, they're starting to get good. Like, they're actually throwing bags now. Like, it's kind of crazy to watch, and it's like, you don't want to take that from somebody. They could be better than you in the future. Like, don't rob them of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I have watched players locally start off and now are unquestionably better than I am, and I'm super proud of them.
Yep.
I mean, they're obviously putting the work in, and they're putting in more work than I am, so they deserve to be better than I am. It's just facts.
Yeah, and so that's super important. Okay, now let's talk about, you draw a player that's like around your average good bagger, can throw four baggers sometimes. You guys are right there on the same level with each other. Let's talk about that. What goes through your mind when you get somebody you're like, oh, that's my boy. Like, we're pretty close in skill. We're a great, well-rounded team. How do you look at it when you draw someone like that?
Well, I think that at that point you go, you do make the adjustment in your head of from, okay, we're going to do our very best. We're going to try to get some wins. We're going to try to level up our ability, to maybe starting to set a little bit of expectations. I think we could get on the podium. I think there's a real shot here that if me and this person can click on all cylinders at the same time, we have a real shot at making some noise here. And so that's when it's very important. Again, communication being key. The first thing I say to this person when I match up is, we can do this. Don't think we can't, because we can do this tonight. Let's get out there and let's make some noise. And it's like you said, it's just super important. Super important to just be very positive, very optimistic. And this goes across the entire spectrum, regardless of who your partner is. Positivity, optimism, so important, so key. So when you do draw that player that is around your skill level, and you feel like, look, we can both throw 10s, we can both throw the occasional 12. I think we've got a good chance to make a run. It's very important that you guys stay pumping each other up, stay making sure that that you're in it regardless, because sometimes you can surprise some people. It's like you said, they come in there and they're like, oh, not gonna be worried about this team. Well, maybe you should be worried about this team, because you got two median skill level players who, if they are throwing at their best, absolutely can take down some teams.
For sure. It's gonna be hard to beat. And another thing that is really interesting when you get a partner that's around your skill level, you guys are, both equally pretty good, you're a well-rounded team, is this opens up the door for constructive criticism either during the game or in between games. You guys are both experienced players. You can both throw four baggers from time to time. So I can look at you and I can say, hey man, stay slow side when you're hitting these pushes or trying to grab these bags from the outside, because you're throwing them perfect. I think the fast side, it may just be skipping over the hole. Or, you can give these pointers and critiques that maybe like the beginner won't understand. Right. And then also you're not necessarily playing with, a pro where it's like, they got it. They can kind of handle it. They know what to do. So you guys really can feed off of each other. Energy, and then also just communication, like you were saying, super huge.
I think that's an excellent point. You're absolutely right, because that is the perfect moment for you. You both have a pretty good knowledge of the game at this point. You both strategically have a good knowledge of the game. Probably shouldn't throw that airmail on your first bag when they set that blocker. You should maybe lay behind and see what they do next. Whereas a beginner level player may not quite understand that. They just see a blocker and they're like, oh, well, I got to go over it. And then they, throw it off the back of the board. So And not all the time. Sometimes I'll hit it. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's impossible. But with two median level players, you both probably have a very good understanding of the game, and you both have an understanding of the strategy that's involved in it. So yeah, it's a lot more comfortable, and you know that you can, with very few words, relay to this person. Maybe the best thing to do in this situation, because you've got the bird's eye view. You're the one looking at that end of the board. You can see where the bags are, and you can say to them, "Hey, same shot, fast side. Don't have to throw it any harder. If you throw that same shot, it's going to go. Especially depending on the bags that you're throwing and how slinky that fast side may be, or if it's a little slower, it could potentially grab something for a nice drag. But I feel like yes, you can speak more on the same level with that median level player, and you have a great opportunity to let each other know the best situations and to be successful because of it.
Absolutely. At a blind draw, a well-rounded team can win. They can, and they can beat teams with absolute studs. They just have to work together. You just have to communicate, and you just have to maintain that momentum and energy, and you guys can seriously, win the whole thing. So finally, we'll talk about what happens when you draw, in my case, Cheyenne Renner. What goes through your mind there? You really have to center yourself, and you really have to set your expectations. And it looks a lot different than playing with another average Joe or playing with a beginner. It's like, okay, this person throws, over a 10 point per round every round. How do I go into this? Dad, what do you do?
This is when you revert back to the beginner mentality, when you were the new kid on the block and you're the one going, oh my God, I drew this better player. What am I going to do? I can't suck.
Yep, full circle.
Yeah, full circle, and it comes back around. And so this is when you have to dig deep and know you're ready. This is the moment that you have been wanting. You've been showing up to these blind draws. You've been watching these people play, and now you got one. You caught that whale. You are there. You have arrived. And so I used to freak out in this moment. And I would kind of play tight. And it would really determine my level of play would be based on how this other player, this advanced player, responded to me and talked to me. That's when I need that encouragement, which is what we were talking about. This is why it's so important. You have got to encourage players, especially if you're the better player. You have got to let that other person know that it's okay. It's okay that you missed that shot. It's okay that you front boarded. It's okay that you sent that airmail long. It is so important as the better player to let that other person know that, hey, throw your game. You're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Because otherwise, you're going to tighten up. Your partner's going to tighten up. You're not going to play well. And so in the beginning, I relied a lot on my partner in that situation to lift me up, to keep me from getting in my own head, to keep me loose and playing my game. As I have gone and been in more situations like that, I have gotten more into the mindset of, this is the reason you've been practicing so much. I'm not letting this person down. It's not going to happen,
Yeah.
And so I have taken it outside of myself from disappointing them to just, I'm not letting them down. This person's got me. I'm capable of throwing well. I'm going to throw well. And it almost puts me more into a state of laser focus than it would, otherwise, because it becomes a lot more about playing up to my potential and playing sometimes beyond it, just because I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. It doesn't happen that often. You don't draw the whale every once in a while. That's why it's the whale, because it's what you hope for every time you pull a chip out of that bag, but it doesn't happen all the time. So when you do, I feel like, and this is just me speaking specifically, I'm like, no, this is happening. I didn't draw this person to get second. We're doing it. So,
That's
and then
right.
you just absolutely have to throw out of your mind. And sometimes for me, and I have learned, I am not a rhythm player. I have learned this over time and recently finally come to the conclusion that I have got to slow myself down. I do not throw the bag anymore as soon as they throw the bag, which is what I used to do. I have got to
Yeah.
slow down and let this, like, almost like bullet time, like, slow down, focus, pull back, release. And that's me. So I get into these situations, and it's funny because that's the way I would play in these situations where I would draw an advanced player, but I wouldn't play in that. I wouldn't play that way in any other situation. I was just rhythm, just release, release, release. And so I'm finally coming to the realization in myself, in my own game, that I have got to slow down and I have got to be methodical with my movements and with my throws. So, anyways, that mentality of drawing that whale has helped me in all around aspects of my game. I have now become every partner I get is the whale, and I'm going to throw my best, and I'm going to focus, and I'm going to slow down, and I'm going to throw at my pace.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a lot of times we don't think about is we get really self-centered when we draw, someone that's high advanced pro level, and it's like, what are they going to think? They always throw at all their bags in the hole. Like, I've really got to live up to their expectations here. And the reality is these guys are winning blind draws pretty much every single time that they go to one. They have been in this moment. They play at, ACL, ACO events. They are very accustomed to the amount of pressure, and they're very accustomed to the game at large. They understand there's a wide variety of skill level, and also they know that you don't have to be amazing for them to win. Like, the pressure's off. If you throw halfway decent, you guys are probably going to win if you draw somebody that's just ridiculously good. So let that pressure be taken off of you and just throw your best. Focus, slow down, whatever you have to do, and you guys are going to go far and you're going to do well. And another thing that's really awesome about having a pro or someone who is an expert at throwing bags is you can ask them, what am I doing wrong? And they can actually give you a legitimate, educated, and observant critique to help you play better in the upcoming rounds or the upcoming games. I keep bringing it up because it's just the highlight of my life, but I call her my best friend, Cheyenne Renner. She doesn't know this. So we were playing, and I would flip over to the fast side sometimes when I shouldn't. Or, she gave me the critique like, hey, you're throwing this carpet side, you're throwing it great, but throw it a little bit closer to the hole so that there's less time for the bag to kick before it goes in and your money. And then I implemented these changes, and then we did great. And I threw much, much better, and we had an awesome night. So yeah, throwing with a pro is just, take it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get that win that you've been wanting and you've been craving. And every time you reach your hand in that bag, you're like, please, Lord, let me get Eric Davis or whatever.
Yes.
Here's your moment. Like, take that opportunity and make something happen.
Absolutely. Excellent point. I absolutely agree with you. That is an invaluable learning experience. You are taking someone who has been there, who has done it, who is constantly doing it. You all they do is win. You're constantly seeing them on podiums. You're constantly seeing them. So take what they have to say as invaluable information. You are 100% correct. That is definitely one of the best takeaways from drawing that person, is to let them teach you. Let them be your Miyagi. Just, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do better? I mean, do I need to throw a different bag? Do you think the bag that I'm choosing to throw is not suiting me well? This is invaluable information, and you should drink it all up.
Yep. Absolutely. So moving on to our final little point, we want to talk about your mindset while you're playing. When you go to a blind draw, you're playing a lot of games, and it can be difficult to maintain that level of focus for that long. So let's just talk about, okay, you step up to the boards, and this is going to be a great night regardless of who my partner is. I'm going to throw smoke. Let's do it. I throw my first bag. It's a front board. What do we do now? How do we refocus? What do you do?
Okay, so first of all, are you watching my games from North Carolina? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
So
I secretly get people to video you.
nice. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So the key is I'm gonna have a great night. We're gonna have a great night regardless because number one, the community is amazing. So I know you have a great community where you are. My community is awesome here. Love everyone that I throw with. So I'm gonna have a great night regardless. I mean, I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna throw bags with all different kinds of people in between games. I'm gonna talk. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna have a great time. So once we realize that, look, we're not allowing ourselves to have a bad night regardless. I mean, if I throw crap, I throw crap, and I have done it, and I do. I get disappointed, but I always, in that moment, I always make a point. If I get disappointed to the point to where I'm visibly disappointed, I make it abundantly clear to the person I'm throwing against, and especially to my partner, I am not frustrated with you. I've been practicing all week. I have thrown great. And for whatever reason tonight, I can't find
Yeah.
the hole. The hole could be a foot and a half around, and I'd miss it every time. And I want you to know that has nothing to do with you. And I want you to know, opponent, it does not have anything to do with you, because 9 times out of 10, that person I'm playing against at my local blind draw is a friend of mine. So I need them to know I'm not mad that you won. I'm happy that you won because you played well and I didn't. And I'm just disappointed in myself. But that being said, usually I don't get into that level of disappointment with myself until I have already thrown a few trash games. Never my first game is going to dictate my night. It's not. I can throw trash that first game. I still got at least one more game to make that up and to not be trash. So I am going to just get out of my head. Usually I will slip off, maybe sit down, maybe find an empty board and just throw just to get some reps in. Or whatever. I do whatever I need to do to recenter myself and say, okay, you got another game. Let's step up to the board. Let's be better this time. And, and a lot of times it works and a lot of times it doesn't. So it's really just about staying out of your head, letting that doubt not cloud your vision, or not letting that doubt make you hesitant. Because in cornhole, I think everyone watching understands that if you're hesitant when you throw that bag, you're hanging on to it a little longer than you should, or you're letting go of it a little sooner than you should, or there's just minute tweaks in your body's mechanics because of your doubt that can really affect your play. So it's super important to not let that get to you, and to not let that get into your head, and to not let that cloud your ability, because you know what you can do. You see what you can do on a daily basis. When you're practicing, when you're warming up, you know what you're capable of. So if you're not throwing the way that you're capable, take a step back, take a deep breath, center yourself, and just try to stay in the mindset of growing and learning. And the more you do that, the better off you're going to be. And sometimes that means making small tweaks. Maybe you make a small tweak on the fly in the game. I know a lot of people, and I myself, I try never to try new techniques in the middle of a game, because that's not what that's for. I think practice is what that's for. But if you're throwing and you're constantly pulling to the right, maybe you make a small tweak to try to tighten that back up. But I feel like it's all about staying positive, trying to play to what you're capable of, and recentering yourself if you're not. I think that's very important.
Definitely. A huge cue for me is be aggressive. Be aggressive, because I tend to get nervous, and like you said, I hold on that bag maybe just a little bit too long because I'm hesitant. I'm scared of the result that's going to happen before it even happens. And you don't want to anticipate what's going to happen. There's something that you're going to make happen, and you will see it when it happens. Stop trying to see it before it happens. But this is why I think that one of the most impressive rounds that you can throw in cornhole is a front board followed by 3 bags in the hole. That's just the most impressive thing ever to me when I see people do it, because it shows
100%.
the nerves and hesitation, and then the recentering, and then the execution of every single bag after that in the hole. Because the reality is, you have more bags in your hand. Stop worrying about things that are over.
Right.
Live in the moment.
Absolutely.
I've got 3 bags right now. let's throw these well and let's execute.
Absolutely, because you when you hit that one at the front, you already know if this person makes four, if I can at least make these three, I'm only giving up 3 points, and that is amazing because if you do that front board, they make their bag, and then you do one long because you're overcompensating or you're getting into your head. They make their next bag. Their score is just stacking up, so it is super important.
Yep.
I think you're right. I think a miss off the board completely, whether it's front, side, back, whatever, followed by three in the hole is a very impressive round. And I think that it does speak a lot to the person throwing those bags. You can see where their mindset is. They didn't let that affect them. They got three more bags and they're going to put them in. You know what? And you might get points off of this round. What if the person you're throwing against throws an 8? You got a point off of front board being your first bag. That's so
That's
cool
right.
to me. So anyway, I agree with you. That's a great point.
Yeah, definitely. I know I said this was our last topic, but something else I really want to talk about is your playing strategy when you're at a blind draw. I think people get really caught up in watching pros on Facebook trade four baggers for an hour, and they think that, okay, that's what I'm going to have to do tonight is I need to slide every bag in the hole. That's what the pros do. That's what I need to try to do. But the reality is, most of the time, if you play a mature, smart, and conservative game at a blind draw, you will exploit so many weaknesses in the people you're playing against, and you can seriously, because I've done this personally, you can win throwing like 5 points per round and stuff just because you're making smart decisions. You're blocking against someone that slides every bag in the hole. They throw fast side game changers, and that's all they want to do in the world is throw it up, the middle, and you stop that from happening. You don't chase bags when they're off to the right of the hole. You make mature decisions. So, Dad, what do you think about that? What do you think is the most mature way to play when you're against different playing styles?
I think you are absolutely right. I think that is. I think that when you're practicing and you're at home, you do want to try to make as many in the hole as you can because you don't want to get too fancy. You want to be able to make a four bagger when you need to make a four bagger. You know what I mean? When you're playing
right.
against that person who can do more than just slide up the middle. When you're not playing against old man fast side, as we like to say.
Old man
'Cause
fast side.
everybody's got him. Everybody's got that old man at the blind draw with the raggedy old game changers, and he just throws fast side straight up the middle in the hole every single time. But we also know you put a block on old man fast side, and he goes to pieces. So
Yep.
you're absolutely right. So you want to play smart, you want to play mature, and there are different people that you definitely have to make that analysis sometimes on the fly.
Yeah.
If you're at your local blind draw, you watch these people play week to week. You know who is a straight up the middle slide shot person versus who can roll your bag, who can airmail automatic, who can who can sneak around, who can cut bag, who can bully, because God knows there are those players. But there are also a lot of fast bag up the middle players, and all you have to do is place that one block right in front of that hole, and their bag goes off to the right. And then you go in. If you can push replace, that's all the better. I am not good at push replacing, but if you can go in, great. If not, if you can leave that blocker right there, their next bag off to the left. And then you've got an alley. So usually at that point, maybe you flip it over and you go straight up the middle, and you collect that in. You get a 7 or an 8, and you're dealing with they've got bags all over the place because of your blocking. You maybe squeak away with a point or two. A 7, they throw a 5, you got 2 points right there. But yeah, super important, I think, to play a mature game. Be aware of your opponent, be aware of your opponent's abilities, and try to adjust accordingly. Hole for hole is fun, but it's also, you have to play at a very high level to do that. And there are not a lot of players who can just go hole for an extended amount of time. And especially if you're not one of them, you might be playing hot. You might be playing out of your mind, but there comes a point where you're going to come back down to earth, but maybe that advanced player you're playing against is not. They're going to keep going in.
No.
Every time you give them an empty hole, they're going to keep going in it. So, yes,
That's right.
being smart about who you're playing and adjusting your playing style accordingly, I feel like is very important in a blind draw situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing that people don't think about is, you know, PPR is awesome, and we all want our PPRs to be amazing. But the reality is if it's a 12 on 10 or it's a 6 on 4, you're still scoring 2 points. And if
Absolutely.
you're playing to your strengths and scoring points, don't worry about your PPR. You will be more than fine if you're disrupting them and still scoring, as opposed to trying to play their game. Don't play other people's game, play yours.
100% agree with you. I will take wins all day with a 5 PPR or 6 PPR versus losses where I've thrown 10s. You know?
100%. It's all
Hands
about
down.
winning, yeah.
Right. Yeah. They don't give you they don't pass out money for the highest PPR at the end of the night. It's the team who wins. Right.
That's right. They do not. You could throw as many bags in the hole as you want to, but if you're losing, like, you know, you're not going to be at the picture at the end of the night, and they don't post the PPRs and the pictures on Facebook. So,
I sure don't.
yeah, so this has been a great episode. We had some really good conversation. Hopefully this helps you guys as you're going into your blind draws, and you can really, you know, play your best and encourage your partners to do well. Dad, do you have anything else? Any other ideas or anything?
I hope that everyone enjoys this episode. I hope that it does help you. And if you think there's anything that we missed, or if there's anything that you necessarily disagree with, be sure to comment in the comments and let us know. And if there's anything that you'd like us to discuss in the future, also leave us a comment. We'd be happy to take that in consideration. We want this journey to be something that you guys come along with us on and feel like you're connected to and you're a part of. So definitely, we had a lot of really good feedback from our first episode, and I feel like that we just want to get bigger and better, and with the cornhole community participating in this and coming along with us, we feel like the sky's the limit. We've already potentially had someone reach out as a potential sponsor. It's a little too soon for me to divulge who that might be, but be sure that you keep a lookout for that in future episodes.
Nice. Very subtle. Cool. Well, we really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for the overwhelmingly positive response on the first couple of videos, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of The Flop. Take care.
Bye, guys.